So I'm talking about creativity and imagination. Thinking about how we can use both of these functions in the process of renewal and recharging, managing stress, and emerging from those places to be envisioned and to do new things. One of my favorite definitions of creativity is applied imagination, the process of putting your imagination to work. And imagination is the root of creativity. I believe it's a gift from God, and it has the potential to assist us in active engagement with God in intimate communion. And the recovery of this function is a form of a spiritual discipline. And this really interests me in thinking about leadership and how we manage ourselves and create a balanced life. I think children have this inbuilt imaginative faculty. All children seem to be like that and love to draw, love to create, have vivid imaginations. But as they get older, as they're engaged in the education world, it slowly gets chipped away and becomes lost. It doesn't die, but it perhaps atrophies by the time we hit adulthood and needs to be awakened again. It can be awakened, and it is a really important part of our spiritual life with God. Schaeffer says the Christian is the really free man. He is free to have imagination. This is our heritage, that the Christian is the one whose imagination should fly beyond the stars. We should be known for this. So, in this context, I'm painting a picture, and probably you've been watching me create an abstract. It's an abstract style. It's a particular genre that I love. There's an incredible freedom to go wherever my pen wants to go. There's no pre-thought with this picture, and as you probably worked out, I don't know where it's going to end up. And the childlike process of scribbling in this way is so refreshing and so therapeutic. I love it. I'm not measuring it out of 10. I'm not trying to decide whether I think it's good or not. I'm just making marks on a piece of paper. You'll notice that I've put boundaries around the paper with some tape. So I'm drawing within a confined, agreed space. But the freedom and the complete abandonment to that creative outcome is actually joy in itself. It does something in my brain. It releases chemicals that can only be described as joyful. Now, I've always had an artistic sensibility. I've never switched that off as I travelled from childhood into adolescence and adulthood. I've given it space to breathe and to live, and I value it. And as a leader, I've carried all kinds of stress, and this has helped me to unpack that and to manage it, if you like. So I'm thinking about art as a therapeutic de-stressor, as a way of renewing ourselves. But it does more than that. And art, in a broad sense, and I don't just mean painting, it has different functions. It expresses beauty. It can be a form of worship. It's a form of communication through narrative. It involves aesthetics that create culture. It has a philosophical dimension. It is therapeutic, it is prophetic, and it's part of the innovation process. But I'm wanting to focus on this area of therapeutic renewal. And in that place, it brings new perspective. Creativity frees our mind up to look at situations in different ways. It helps us to look at alternate realities, to not get stuck in our current situations, to not be limited by box-in thinking. And particularly abstract art does this. Some people look at abstract art and they think, oh, I hate it. What does it mean? But sometimes it's not necessarily about what it means. And in my situation as you look at this painting emerge, it is about form and colour and freedom and fluid motion. It doesn't have to be something because it's about the process. And what's happening in my brain, if you could measure that kind of activity, is really interesting to me, and I want to encourage you to think about that for yourself. This process is renewing. It clears out the clutter, it de-stresses, it disconnects us from our daily worries. And so it allows an envisioning process of new perspective and new direction, of being able to problem solve. It helps us to look at things differently. And that release of chemical joy in the brain, it's like food to us. All of us need a creative outlet, and you might be thinking, well, I don't paint. Well, it's not really about that. You can find your creative outlet, and it will be specific to you. But you have to kind of carve the time out to do it and to discipline yourself to practice that. Now, it might be writing or blogging, or it might be gardening or building or making something in the crafts. It might be cooking. I also love to cook, and that's always been my end of the working day de-stressor. It might be drawing or painting or sculpting. It might be dancing. It might be inventing things or really putting your mind to problem solving. We're all really different, but all of us have creative faculty. So to conclude, I want to encourage you to find your creative outlet. Do it privately, but explore it for yourself. Even ask God, how have you made me in this regard? And if you're not sure, try out some new things. One of them will stick. One of them you'll think, hey, I love that. It might be music, something else. Make time in your schedule to create. Put value upon it and practice it regularly. It is part of a balanced life, but more than that, to be creative is to be like God, to reflect His image, to align with His ways. And when we act creatively, when we apply our imagination, the world changes, culture around us changes, and we become light in the darkness. We're renewed, restored, envisioned, and reconnected with all the fullness of life. So go find your creative outlet.